Hello everyone, I greet you in the name of God Almighty. My name is Apostle Newton Silas, and today we have a very interesting video to react to by Douglas Murray. And then this one says that Douglas Murray calmly obliterates angry Muslim professor with fact. And guys, without any further ado, let's get down to this video and check this out.
The present situation is that Israel builds bunkers in which its civilians have to shelter from rocket fire from the Hamas. The Hamas builds bunkers and hides its rockets in it, and then puts civilians on top of those bunkers. That is a terrorist organization.
That is an organization that has no respect.
That is an organization that has no respect for human lives, not Palestinian lives and not Israeli.
Barack Obama said this. He said, if someone was sending rockets into my house, where my two daughters sleep at night, I'm going to do everything in my power to stop that, and I would expect Israelis to do the same thing.
I mean, that's quite true, but the point is we need to understand how the situation has come about. We seem obsessed with the current situation. We need to understand how Israel came into being. You know, we can debate here from now until doomsday about what's happening today, but we need to understand what has created the situation. How many of us know about the Hussein McMahon correspondence? How many of us know about the Sykes-Picot Agreement? How many of us know about the Balfour Declaration? All of them are duplicitous agreements that brought about the state of Israel.
But we are where we are.
Yeah, and to call Hamas a terrorist organization, what is the Stalag, the Irgun and the Haganah? How many of us know this? You see, we only know one side of the narrative. It's easy for people to say that Hamas is a terrorist organization, yet they were democratically elected. I might not like that. In fact, I don't agree with Hamas a lot of the time, but I cannot say they're just terrorists. How come one person's terrorist and another person's freedom fighter?
Andrew Murray?
Well, it's not the case that they're freedom fighters. The first thing that Hamas did when they were allegedly elected was to kill their co-religionists in the Gaza, was to throw people off buildings, to shoot people in the back when they're running away. This is what the Hamas do to their own co-religionists in the Gaza, to other Palestinians. So the first thing is that Hamas not only inflict terror on the people of Israel, they also inflict it on other Palestinians. It's for the Palestinian peoples, as the rabbi said, to try to overthrow this terrorist organization. An organization which fights, if I may just finish. Well, an organization which fulfills every...
Come off it.
Well, I don't know what else you call an organization which has killed hundreds of it.
What was the Irgun? What was the Haganah?
Well, the Irgun and the Haganah are not operating at the moment.
No, but what were they?
Well, they were terrorist organizations at the time. But I would say that we're talking about what's happening at the present. And the present situation is that Israel builds bunkers in which its civilians have to shelter from rocket fire from the Hamas. The Hamas builds bunkers and hides its rockets in it, and then puts civilians on top of those bunkers. That is a terrorist organization.
That is an organization that has no respect.
That is an organization that has no respect for human lives, not Palestinian lives and not Israeli lives.
F-16s...
When Israel risks, like in 2006, having 1 million of its civilians having to live under threat of rocket fire, this is something which should be beyond its concern about what European governments think or don't think. You mentioned earlier about the huge number of civilian casualties. I can't think of another situation in war in which a fifth of casualties are civilian, and in which the Hamas have suffered up till now perhaps as many as 400 casualties. 400 terrorists being killed seems to me to be good work. It's good work for the future of Israel. It's good work for the future of the region.
Upwards of 75 children have been killed. You can't call them terrorists.
No, I didn't call them terrorists. I said they were innocent civilians. But that 4 times that number of people being killed, the targeted people being killed, are terrorists, and they have been killed. And that can only be good for the region. It can only be good for Israeli security. And if the Arab world really cares about the Palestinian peoples, why doesn't it do something for them practical instead of whining about this tiny slither of land which Israel occupies? Why don't they realise that if there's going to be peace in the region, it relies on there being a Palestinian solution, and there relies on there being an Israeli solution? That can happen, but the first thing that has to happen is that the Arab governments and the Palestinians realise that Israel isn't going anywhere. If they made that realisation, why would they be firing rockets into Israel proper? This isn't disputed territory. They're firing rockets into Israel.
Well, that's a very interesting video, listening to Dr. Taj and then also Douglas Murray concerning the solution to Israel and then the Palestine conflict. You know, Douglas pointed out some certain things, you understand, in this very video, which I think that they are very, very important. If maybe probably we will not use emotions in analyzing some of these things. Well, to whatever we see, if it's gonna make any difference, I do not know, because I feel it may not really make much impact. But then, just like how Douglas Murray say, he says that when the Israel are building a bunker, of course, they just build a place that they can kind of maybe hide themselves if there's maybe a counter attack or if there's an attack. But then the Hamas, in the other way around, they'll build a bunker in the places that there is civilians. So if there is such maybe an attack or something like that, then it end up, you understand, affecting, you understand, the civilians. And that's one of the reasons why people, you understand, are dying. And then I could make a reference whereby a hospital, you understand, was attacked, you understand, in Palestine. And then we heard that there was actually a bunker beneath, you understand, the hospital, and that was the reason why, you understand, the hospital was attacked by airstrike. So in the process of that, you understand, end up endangering the civilians that were actually in the hospital. I am not saying that the Israeli were right, you understand, by doing so, but then in the other way around, they were trying to maybe probably cause, you understand, pain and havoc to the Hamas. But then one thing that I really want to I don't really understand about some of these things is the Israeli fighting the Palestinians or they are fighting Hamas? I think that we're supposed to create, maybe probably try to understand, you understand, what the Palestine stand for and what Hamas, you understand, stand for, so that let's just really understand this, whether Israeli are actually fighting Palestine or they are actually fighting Hamas. Because from the video you got to realize that Hamas, you understand, has been designated as a terrorist organization, but then them being designated, I do not know if they have been designated by the Palestinian government or they were designated as a terrorist organization by the international community. I think that if we're able to like know some of these things, then I think that probably the Palestinian, you understand, government could have been the one to at least, you understand, maybe kind of expose some of the terrorists that are in between them, so that that can be able to like help to solve some of these problems of civilians, you understand, being killed. Because if you look at it in the other way around, all these things, you understand, has been happening and innocent people, you understand, are being killed. I do not know if maybe probably part of the terrorists, if they are being killed at the cost of some of the strike or not. Because if you look at, in a sense, some of the news that we keep, you understand, receiving by some of the mainstream media, you bear with me that it is civilians, you understand, that always, you understand, fall casualty of some of these happenings between Israel and Palestine. Now, if you look at how all these things, you understand, is happening, I think that Iran in the other way around kind of feel this kind of, or should I say, they make an emotional decisions, therefore end up, you understand, attacking, you understand, Israel, maybe probably in order to maybe help the Palestinians, since, you understand, the Palestinians happens to be a Muslim, you understand, nation, or should I say they are Muslim, so they feel like maybe probably that's the way forward. And then the other way around, now there's actually an counter attack by Israeli that is as of today. All right, and then if you look at, in doing all these things, you understand, many people are going to lose their lives, and that's the reason why we always say that in war everybody lose, nobody win in war, because war are mostly based on ideologies. So now when you look at, in all these things, this one killed this one went on to do counter, and then at the end of the day, where does these things, leave us? And then that's the reason why I am saying that if maybe probably, of course, we could be, a very religious, bodies, and then we could look at what Hitler do. We can't say that because of Hitler, was Germany, and probably, should I say, he's a Christian and all that, then let's attribute whatever Hitler do by killing the Jews as him being a Christian. Or let's say the Crusaders, they end up, that we are killing the Jews, so let's assume that they work for the Christians, and then we could say that for some of the activities of the Hamas, they do it for the Muslim. We don't have to say that they did it for the Muslim, because there are so many Muslims that may not support some of this thing that is happening. Likewise, some of the Jews, there are some of them who does not support, the Zionists, Jews being led by Netanyahu, that is end up, ordering strike all the time. If you interview some of the Jews, you realize that it's not everyone that support some of these things. But then at the end of the day, the best solution is to at least have a two-state, agreement where Palestine, can be seen as its own sovereign state. Likewise, the Israel, because all these things that is happening, a lot of innocent people, are being killed, at the cause of it, and then it does not bring any, solution to anything, because that's how they keep killing. This one will regroup, someday they'll go attack and all those things. Now, as Israel and Iran have decided to start engaging in each other, I do not know how these things will finally end up, but then we just pray for God's grace, and then we pray that he can be able to like bring peace in between these two nations. So this is the end of my video. If you like my reaction, you should like, share, and subscribe. If you have any video you want me to react to, don't forget to drop it at the comment section and I'm going to check it out. So guys, you remain blessed and I see you in my next video. Bye bye.